This is the Manufacturing Automation Podcast. I'm Michael.
And I'm Matt. In this podcast, we're going to discuss growing companies, automation and manufacturing,
and how we're building the lives and businesses we want to see in the world. You want to roll us in? Give us your feelings of the week?
General feelings of the week. I need more time in the week. That's kind of how I feel. We've got lots of new stuff coming in for leads coming in through the website, lots of active stuff that's in the pipeline, spending a lot of unplanned time on the road because of projects getting closer to close and needing some face-to-face with executive level portions of organizations. So that's been kind of my week. It's been a little ad hoc, but things are rolling, not too chaotic, just lots going on.
Did you do more site visits or?
I had another unplanned one this week with that same customer. We've got a couple very large projects that are, I think, right at the finish line here. So I had been meeting with kind of the next tier of management, and then I got called in for the tier above them, which is the last sign off now. That got approved, and they have to do kind of a board level presentation, and that sounds like it's the next to last phase of this entire process for two very fun, very exciting robotic packaging and palletizing projects.
Gotcha. Then, are those MRS or something else? Or a little complicated?
The one is kind of like an MRS-like, where we're going to leverage some of the IP from it, but it's a vision-based picking from a pallet and then sending it down some value add stream, we'll say, and then picking off a moving conveyor on the other side with vision is what that project is. So that one's fun in that regard, just vision picking, leveraging some of the MRS software for PAL and DPAL and slip sheets. So a lot of re-leverage of software. And then the other one is very similar to our 1701 project. It's just case pack and palletizing of different product, but nothing too crazy. So the team's excited about that, where it's like we can leverage a lot of stuff we've been doing.
Yeah, I'm almost wondering, and we can talk more about this in sales and marketing. I think you're going to get to a point where the site visits become unsustainable for you if you're not already there.
Yeah, it's getting unsustainable. It's if they're within 100 and like 15 miles, 125 miles is where I'm kind of drawing the line. If they're past that, because then it just eats up so much of a day. And so if it's under that, I just jump in the truck and can do it. Beyond that is where we're like, all right, we're charging for them.
Yeah, I guess that's not what I mean. Like, obviously, by charging for them, they convert to revenue. But I'm almost wondering, like, if you need to, at some point in the near-ish future, like, become the closer and not the first site visit, right?
That's so that we can get into that in the sales processes, but that was a large portion of our SOP meeting that I had drafted that SOW, which was one of my tasks, but we can get into that when we roll down here. I'll let you go with general feelings of the week.
Cool. Well, I'm right there with you with just not enough time. That's been definitely a theme. And I think I've been really pushing to get myself out of the business. That's kind of been my theme of the week. And, kind of looking at where my time is going, where am I too involved in stuff, what am I bad at, and trying to really stop doing all those things and trust other people to do them. So, I think I learned a lot with this one turnkey that I expedited. And when I, thought I could take over and come in and with all these templates, I've had countless hours put into them, basically run through and implement one of these on a rush as for a customer in a pinch. And it went, I would say, poorly. I changed that process to now put a lot more reliance on a remote guy and change that from just doing everything isolated. He was doing like the actual projects isolated and then handing over the training and a lot of the like little implementation questions to me. We changed that process to now there's a Slack channel the customers with the semi-turnkeys use for quick communication. And then we're slowly rolling him over to do the actual main training on the semi-turnkeys. We'll hit a limitation of how many of those we can run through, one staff member in a month, but that's a different problem.
It is funny how just like expediting anything anymore just isn't a sustainable option. Like it just you break down your SOPs. What you need to do is just figure out how you make your new standards faster is what I'm pushing
Yeah.
for here at Develop. Is that's why our one mission of going to custom machines in under 6 months. But it's just like every time you try and expedite, something breaks, customer's not
Oh yeah.
happy, then it just looks bad on
Yeah.
you, and it's just like it just got to the point where we just say no to a lot of those now. It's you hate doing it, but just
Yeah,
real.
and I think it's having that discipline, and we talked a week or two ago about how, when they're not talking to the president or the CEO of the company, at least of a small company, they don't ask for exceptions as often, right? Because they know that person doesn't have the bandwidth. Um, but I've been kind of trying to do that strategically everywhere, and said, okay, first off, what is the company not good at? And then secondarily, tear down from that, what am I not good at, and how do we fix those things? And I think the first thing I saw, or like when I really dove into it, is like, okay, I've had this whole mission to insource, and I think that makes a lot of sense for some stuff. But I've kind of decided and realized, like, fundamentally, I've built an engineering company, and a process company for doing the semi turnkeys. And really, what we're good at isn't serial production, especially in this high mix, low volume where we have 200 part numbers that we need to make 10 a month. And now that we're exploring domestic in the Midwest manufacturers, they're able to do that high mix, low volume work with a lot of rev changes without. I mean, it's costing 20 to 40% more than what it would be in house, but no mental bandwidth goes to it, right? And I think
You
one
can
thing is like,
focus on growing your business,
yeah,
not trying to grow your business and manufacture for your business.
yeah. So, I don't have to think about that. I mean, I've totally pulled myself out of, at least after the initial design is done. I might design the initial SolidWorks model, but after that point, I'm kind of not involved. I might do a 3D print, I might do some tweaks, but then we're sending it out, or making a prototype internally. And really, we're just running enough batches of stuff that's new, right, internally, where it's like, okay, we'll run these 10 parts, or a batch of 50 parts just to like test the intraload, or to test a system that's novel, as opposed to making that our production process. And one of the benefits of that is like, now I know exactly what our margins are, because it's hard to calculate like
Oh
how
yeah,
much that
it's
part costs. But if you have an invoice for it and it's a shop that does nothing but make those components.
a lot of sunk costs and overhead increases can occur when you're doing low volume manufacturing for a business of our size, or you just
Yeah.
don't realize how much it's really costing. Like you almost just need to look at your burden rate and blanket every hour. Like that's the way Develop makes decisions. I know how much it costs for an average of a human hour at Develop, and it's pretty easy to do ROI calculations. It's
Right.
like,
Yeah.
like
I mean,
I
it's
don't, have you
easily.
ran that number before?
Yeah, it's like $70 an hour.
Oh, really? Okay. That's really,
The
I was actually surprised that's that low.
Well, per staff member, and the so your $700-800. It depends, what you call a staff member, because we have a number of consultants that we send 30 hours a week of work to, and so we're kind of acting like we have a different headcount than we actually do, like in terms of FTEs.
That's
But
an, yeah, that
that's
makes
a
it a little
different story.
interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Okay.
It's $70 to $100 an hour, and then multiply that by 9 or 10, and it's a significant cost. But putting that bandwidth on a part number, especially when we do so many revs to make things better, that's an issue.
Yeah.
And we're not really like, if we just set it up and we knew that part number was going to run for years and years, it'd be a different story.
You got to figure out how to get some of your products there.
And then kind of going down to, from the company level of, okay, we're good at engineering, going down to the me level, I really dove into like, what am I not good at that I'm doing? And I think one failure you've probably seen over and over and over is Gantt charts. Like actually doing the Gantt charts, making sure that the staff is doing them. I think you've seen me jump into the business over and over and over to kind of fix problems. And one thing I haven't really discussed a lot is like, I'm pretty bad about invoicing and doing things like with discipline of like, oh, I need to collect, like, someone needs to call this customer because they're 15 days past due. Letting those things go too long, like that's been a consistent issue. And
Yeah. Nobody likes collecting. Like that's one of my least favorite
yeah,
tasks is like being Mr. Collector. It's like, gosh, I wish you could still break knees.
yeah. And like And we had, one of our smaller vendors where we had this, we paid late, and that was a whole thing of like, okay, why is there a late fee over one day? Like, we send you a lot of work, blah blah blah. But I guess like when I really reflected on it, it's like, especially the vendors who are like one, two guys in a garage, like, that might be their mortgage. And I want to make sure those ACHs are like on time, delivering exactly the day they're supposed to. And these are all the things I've recognized I'm bad at. And I think long term, we've talked about, like, both of us kind of want to have a COO in that role. I think I'm worse than you are at those things. And you probably have better processes in place. But here's my controversial thing is, at least for the interim until we're there, I've kind of handed over a lot of those roles to Priscilla, my wife, of just, okay, I'm going to hand over, like, here's the ACH, here's the invoicing, here's the follow up. And she was already managing some of our like AR and AP, but my goal is that, it's a temporary couple year measure where I can have someone who's actually really paying attention to our numbers, like she does that with our personal finances, in a way that I just don't. I'm capable of doing it.
Is she not? I know you were bringing her into machining too at one point. Is she not doing that now, or?
Well, yeah, it's kind of a moving target, and obviously, you don't have to define the role when it's family as
yeah, you
tightly.
shouldn't spread her too thin either. So.
Well, yeah, I think what has happened is as I've been thinking about what the business really needs, the answer wasn't a machinist, right? Because that decision came out of, oh, wait a minute, we're an engineering firm. Like, this is where we make all of our money. This is how, we differentiate ourselves in the market. And, we do, engineering in terms of products, and then apps engineering in terms of processes. And those are the things that we really sell. And then we do assembly of our products. Obviously, historically, we've made a lot of those components, but I'm really getting confident in domestic outsourcing, and we'll see how that grows. I think my problem has been I've always been doing it in Los Angeles, and it's just never panned out, right? The quality's been too bad, the prices have been too high, and
your
branching
prices
out.
for that is got to be just astronomical in the LA area.
Yeah,
like
yeah. I mean, so that has been, like, I think, a really positive change, and has made me reprioritize what the business needs. And we talked a lot about last week how I think my action item was to go and reflect strategically what the business needs.
That was actually one of my questions
Yeah.
I had at the top of my mind here is a lot of this coming from the reflection?
Yeah, I think the reflection was kind of like already subtly happening.
Okay.
And I think, you definitely pushed me to do it. My entrepreneurs group also kind of pushed me to do the same thing. I haven't really formalized it. And I think that was my actual action item of, like, going and putting aside 4 hours and putting a real written plan together. Like, that has not been completed yet, which is still needs to be done. And I've penciled some time for Sunday to do that.
And once you do it, Michael, something that's helped me too is don't execute on any of that stuff right away, because
Right.
otherwise your team starts feeling this bullwhip effect. Because like
Uh-huh.
I know I'll have these reflection moments where, like, oh, I want to do this, and it's like, just leave it sit. This is something that, like, I think I go back to something my mom taught me at a younger age. Like, whenever she grew up in a very frugal household. I realize it's going to be a weird story, but everything she's bought, like, throughout, like, when I was a child to today, like, she doesn't buy anything that week, typically not that month. She writes it down, and it's like, if she still wants it in the future, then she buys it. So it's like, I've started doing that on certain things within the business. Like, I'll write things down, or I'll do things, and it's like, this doesn't need to be done now.
Yeah.
Think about it, because sometimes the things just fall off the list. Then you didn't waste that energy having your team try and do it. And then the things that continue to stay there, it's like, you clearly need or want.
Right.
I don't know. That's helped me throughout the last couple years. Like, the small business flight plan was one of those things that, like, I'd read the books multiple times. I wanted to do multiple of those things. The team just wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. Company wasn't ready, whatever. But when the time prevailed, then I did it.
Yeah. And I've made that mistake so many times of, like, I read a book a couple times. I get really excited. I did this with, EOS and Traction. And, I come in hard and, like, oh, we're doing this, and, go get some stupid consultant. And
EOS it can jazz you up. Like, I know when I read that book,
yeah.
and then all of a sudden you get all their consultants contacting you because they saw you went through the stuff. And man, they have a good sales deck. They're good at pitching.
But, now, like, the more enthusiastic I am, I think the more skeptical I am of the emotion. Right?
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah. And I think I have been a victim of my own enthusiasm time and time and time again. And it used to be I thought, okay, we need thing. I'm going to go buy thing, even if it's $20,000. And a cash crunch will stop you from doing that very quickly, which I experienced. And now that there's no cash crunch, and that that's not we're not like looking at cash flow like a hawk, all concerned. Um, I think that's kind of carried over, but I had to have the pain to actually grow from that issue.
Hmm. Yeah, that's the best way, especially when you survive.
Yep. So yeah, I'm working on focusing and doing what I'm good at, right?
Good.
Which is I'm good at sales, I'm good at marketing, I'm good at technical R&D, at least the first 75%, and I think I'm good at setting the direction for a business. But like outside of those things, I'm not like the COO or the like manager who's gonna like make sure the Gantt charts are on schedule and keep everything to deadlines. And
Yeah.
and I need to. I think that this is a good interim plan, and will help us get to the point where we can have like a proper COO and a CFO. But
Yeah.
obviously that's years away.
Yeah, timing of that like is so critical. What's your revenue? How many people do you have on your team? Like, yeah, you want those things, but sometimes you just can't pay for them.
Yeah, and the other thing, I was going through and like auditing all of our like Shopify stuff, and I think in my head I thought that the automation business has been going for a long time, and I think I kind of had like I put the date initially, like at least in my mind, of as an anchor of like when I started testing the stuff. We're actually only now just about to hit the 2-year mark on when the automation business formally kicked off. And I
Interesting.
think like that's a good reminder of like just I kind of burned the old consulting business to the ground and stopped taking orders and did all these things to follow the dream and pour all this money into it. But I think that's a good reminder to me. Like it's only been 2 years, and I moved all my eggs from this basket to this basket. But like there's not a like robust recurring customer base yet. Like there's still part of the reason we poured so much into PPC is to grow that customer base. And I think I have to like try to give myself some credit of like we have come really far to where almost all of our revenue is in that box now.
That's great. Yeah, it takes a long time in B2B, a
Yeah,
lot longer than anybody ever really expects,
yeah. Especially when your sales cycles are like multiple months, right?
or years.
Yeah. We don't have years. I think you guys have years.
Yeah, we have 6 months to 5 years has
Yeah.
been our sales cycle. It was pretty fun to see that one go from the longest that we had was like 2.5 to this year we had one come back at 5 years. Like it's like
Wow.
you got to be kidding me. This is crazy.
Yeah. Well,
So
you want to roll into sales and marketing? I've talked a lot. You should go first.
no, I'm really enjoying that. I'm glad you reflected because I think that it's all too easy for businesses of our size to get into that execution mode, like you said, in the business, and then we forget to kind of zoom out and figure out why we really started these businesses. So I really enjoyed that, Michael. Uh, for me, the sales and marketing this week, I had the task of drafting the SOW on our SOPs, the tools that we need to do, and the processes that we're improving on the. Really, the way we broke it down was marketing qualified lead to SQL,
Hmm.
so sales qualified lead, and then SQL to close. All the steps within there and the things that we needed to improve upon and the tools we need to build. I didn't realize how big of a list that was going to be and how big of a statement of work that
Hmm.
was of all the things that I wanted improved by our next trade show, MD&M, and then the trade show right after that, the week after, literally the week after, we're doing back-to-back shows, is EATS. And it ended up being a statement of work. We actually just buttoned that up this morning. Me and a couple team members that are working on this. It ends up being just over 200 engineering hours just to button up the statement of work of tasks that we need to get done to really improve our velocity. Because the kind of the mission or the OKR that was drafted around this uh, was to become the fastest basically from meeting or marketing qualified lead to quoted custom machine project in industry. We want to
Right.
be the fastest out there. And the only way to do that is literally automate as much as possible. And we're getting there. There's a lot of stuff that's happening. And I think once we get this statement of work done, I don't know how we could go faster personally. Like I physically don't know how you could do it faster. So I'm really excited about it. I just didn't realize like how much work it was actually going to be. So good thing
Yeah.
we've got some good team members that are excited to execute it with me.
Yeah. That's exciting.
So I don't really know what to share around that other than just linking a lot of the stuff like I've been talking about with Plod, uh, layering.
I bought one of those.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
awesome.
they're awesome.
I feel like I should start getting like some form of MQL payback from Plod at this point for how many times I've
Hmm.
told people. Like I probably helped them sell at least a handful of those things just in the last couple of weeks. Like I had
Yeah,
one guy
you're the
buy.
reason I bought this one.
Yeah, so I know
Yeah.
of for sure two within the last 2 weeks that because you bought that this last week, right?
Yeah, bought it on Tuesday.
Yeah, that have for sure been sold because because of
Hmm.
me telling people about them. But uh, linking that with then a bunch of ChatGPT and AI, and then linking our proposal building software, and then linking that into HubSpot tracking and automation, like this whole full circle, and then to DocuSign. There's been a lot of linking that's going to occur and how we're going to really compress this loop.
Hmm.
What used to take us 4 to 6 months, I think we're going to do in 4 to 6 weeks.
It's exciting.
So I'm jacked about that. So maybe our 6 months to 5 years might go from uh, that lower number being 2 months to 5 years.
Yeah,
So that'd be pretty cool.
it's exciting.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really jazzed about it. I wish I could explain it in more detail, but we'd be here for a long time if I started going through that. And I don't know if anybody would want to listen to that. If you do, send us a message, and I'm more than happy to get into the areas that are you're interested in.
You know what's funny that I found is like the longer that you're running a business, the more like boring like the stuff presents that you're doing. Because like especially this last week where I've been like lasered in on overall strategy and sales and marketing.
Hmm.
Like it's so much harder to get Instagram content because it's not like I'm out there executing on the floor, and that's its own challenge of like the stuff I'm doing is boring. Like,
Oh yeah,
at least it presents as boring from like an outside view.
yeah.
Yeah,
But it's that next step of going from a couple million to 5 or 10 million
yeah.
in revenue as a business. Because like the other task that I was involved with a lot this week was our customer SOPs.
Hmm.
What is the expectation? So now we've made the sale. How do we make the customer's experience
Right.
as premium as possible? Because something we're wanting to go towards is our customers are spending, $250,000 to multi-million dollars. We want it to be like a boutique feel. Like
Right.
it's not like you're just a number in the cog, if you will. We want it to feel like you bought a couple $1 million car from us. And how do we create that experience? And so, it's standardizing every document they get looks the same.
Hmm.
While they all were very similar, it's a process that goes through because the amount of touch points, like, again, this list was insane when I started looking at it, how many touch points I expect the team to have with the customer. And it's like, no wonder they all kind of felt a little bit different. It just, so many
Right.
touch points got added in the last couple of years because that's how our process just makes it so the customer is very satisfied by the end of it and nothing feels forgotten. Because if you skip a step, just like we were talking about, you try and expedite something gets missed, and then it all backs up on the end of a project.
Yep.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm jazzed about this. I'm sorry, I'm very passionate about our customer experience journey. I
Yeah.
don't know, I really enjoy it.
Yeah. I mean that's definitely getting past sales and marketing, and I've been doing stuff too with the trying to improve our turnkey process, and yeah, it's definitely a for us I think more of a prioritization. Like what's the most important or biggest pain point now, and then
Hmm.
dealing with things one at a time. But
Yeah.
but my sales and marketing list, oof, it's pretty long. um, I've really been putting a focus into sales, right? And one thing like with handing over the like AR AP tracking, to my wife Priscilla is the hope is that like when we review the P&L in our like weekly team meeting with the like our strategy meeting, the goal with that is hopefully we can have look at the AR, look at the AP, kind of look at what the forward expectations are, and then say, hey, maybe we should close this project early, hit the milestone, like manage our cash flow associating with AR and AP, and stop so reactively just reacting to what the P&L is, because if we have milestone based payments, if we have customers on net 30, and then we're doing cash based accounting and looking at the numbers on the P&L, we're not going to see if we're overloaded, or we're not going to see like if we're behind on sales by just
I
looking at that document.
I think you are highlighting something that develops focus really changed. Or I'd say, I don't know the exact pivot point. It's been over the last couple of years. We started, rather than doing the reaction, it's what is the most efficient way?
Yep.
We have all these things to get done. They're all going to get done in the next 3 months. They're all a priority. What is the most efficient way to get them all done? And that's what's going to happen to increase not only our cash flow, that's going to increase our velocity of projects and our customer satisfaction. So that's been the kind of the common theme of when the team's looking at like which one's really the priority, Matt, and they're all really a priority. They all need to get done in, the next month. Doesn't really matter. What's the most efficient way to get them all done? And then we can get on to next month and look at the same thing. And we've just seen a lot of velocity happen out of that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, for us too, like really looking at like, okay, we want to hit X dollars this month. Here's how much is an AR. Here's how much is an AP. Like, I think because our projects are so much smaller in scope, like pulling that lever of like, let's finish this one early to make the numbers how we want them. And, at the same time, also try to prevent ourselves from overloading in work and finding the right balance of sales and execution to see that graph go slowly up, not go up too fast and not be able to execute and not, stay level or decline. I'm really excited about that. With that, I've, kind of have pulled back from the strategic level to the tactical level of, okay, let's do sales again. I haven't been really focused on it as I've been working in the business, which, is what it is. And, I've been following up leads, doing the mark and really figuring out, okay, what's broken, like what needs to be automated. There's tons and tons of stuff that needs to be done in terms of, taking HubSpot and building those automations in, which, I need to, if you know anybody who can, we can just pay as a consultant to help us implement those workflows.
I've tried.
Yeah.
So I've built some. I tried having our agency
Yeah.
do some of that. I'm having our engineering team build it at this point.
Yeah.
So we created a statement of
Yeah.
work. Our engineering team's good. We're going to do it once. And I actually see our company's a little bit different on it, where yours is more product. I think you can find somebody that can build it a little bit more reasonable for you. It's just ours is so custom. Like we've built out this pipeline. I think it was like 16 touch points to sale. And some of those have like a bounce back and forth, if like it goes back into revisions and stuff, because CAD can have multiple revisions, statement past like buttoning it up can have multiple revisions. So we can have like potentially like 20 meetings with a client before close. Like it's a lot of meetings to close one of these things. So
Yep.
that's where it got really tough for us. It was like, all right, we're just going to automate this with our internal engineering team, bring in some of them for the sales stuff.
Yeah. And well, we have I really delineate out the sub $10,000 transactions from the $25,000 transactions from the 50 plus thousand. And all those have kind of their own unique workflows and really we need to build that in and it's not built in. I read a book I've read several times. I think I've recommended to you a few, New Sales Simplified, which I think every time I read it, it helps me get into the right mindset around sales.
New
which I think
sales simplified?
New Sales Simplified. And I think, with each of these, with anything that you want to systemize, obviously you want to build a process. At least my view at this point, having tried to hire people who are, quote unquote, like experienced in a position, my opinion now is like, if I'm capable of it, and can be good at it, I should try to like tactically on a ground level, at least briefly be in that position, as a part of my time in order to build those SOPs and have a standard that I know works, right?
I think this is actually, I know you're not a huge fan of them, but I think this is the process you're describing. If you hire an agency and then watch them or have them show you how to build it,
Yeah.
and then you build, like literally you pay them to teach you to do it on your own process rather than
Right.
do it. It's Alex Hormozy. I know you're not, like I said, not a huge fan, but
Yeah.
he describes that really well, where he's like, hey, if I pay you to teach me how to do it for my business, I'll pay you 3 times as much, but I don't want you to do the task. I want you to teach me how to do the task.
Yeah.
And just this one time.
Yeah.
I think that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, and I'll go again with the Alex Hormozy thing, and I have the same feeling about like Tony Robbins or Gary Vaynerchuk or any like again, all those people have gotten me like way too excited, and the more excited I get, like the more skeptical I am. And and I think it's like a good sales and marketing content. I'm not saying like or strategy, but I'm not saying the content is bad. But the continual hype train, you know, it has really just makes me tune out at this point.
Yeah, they want you to buy their
Their
books,
course, or yeah,
their course. That's really what they're trying to sell. I mean, it's kind of like the Dan Martell. Like I like a lot of the stuff he says, but at the end of the day, you click too many things, and you're just not going to stop getting
yeah. I'm like,
emails
I'll
from
buy
these
your
guys.
book, but I'm not going to buy your course, kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's where I'm at. Yep.
yeah. But I think I've been really in the sales mindset. I did my first site visit in a long, long time.
Okay.
And I think that's a direction I really need to focus on. Like, first off, there's a lot of local shops, especially in Orange County, which is, 45 minutes away, where they have 70 mills, right? And,
I love
like,
site visits.
yeah.
They're so much fun, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so. It depends on the site for sure. I mean, some are a ton of fun. Some can be kind of frustrating of like, oh my God, the there can be so much low hanging fruit that I see, and I just want to like change it, and I got to pull myself back and be like, okay, we got to get these guys from Kurt Vices to like automatic Vices, like one step at a time. But like in this case, they were using a very like crappy automated Vice, and we're like, you know what? Let's just like send them a demo Vice, and if they don't like it, like whatever, but they will because they're going from
Yeah. Still
low
level
tier
up.
to the at least like a proper industrial product. And I think being more aggressive, thinking more long term, has really changed my sales mindset. And I've tried to think about that too in terms of like how I deal with our vendors of like and our distributors. Like, okay, we could probably move more distributor sales if we gave them more margin. I mean, that's pretty obvious, but and diving into what our margins are, I'm like, okay, like we probably should try to revisit some of these and rework the deals and see if we can get a moving volume again. So like I said, I'm kind of everywhere in sales and
No,
marketing.
I like that you're zooming out on it. It's how do you focus on the long game, not the short term solutions. I think that's going to be setting your business up a lot better. I think you'll be
Yep.
happy with those decisions.
And then quoting and proposals. I was sending out a quote today, and I'm like, this looks like shit. That's being too hard on it. It looks like a quote you would expect. It nicer than a quote you might expect from a company our size. It just, just like our website looks nicer than most companies our size. But I'm like, this can be better, and like, we can have pictures. It can be visual. We can have like what the payment terms and schedule are on there. And this was built by one guy who has since been fired under with cause, right? That was a whole ordeal. Our old sales guy, but he had basically told me, hey, like we got to be on a $5,000 a month HubSpot plan to build what you're talking about with the quotes. And I was like, okay, fine, we'll just stay in HubSpot. Lo and behold, I go and look again, and I'm like, and that's just totally not true. And we could like build exactly what we want. So that's a a story of I think as a manager, I wasn't digging into things, holding.
What are you
people's-
building it in then?
No, it's just directly in HubSpot. Like the feature was there the whole time. It was
It's just their standard quoting tool, is
yeah,
what
it's
you're
a
saying.
standard quoting tool. It's got everything we need to put the pictures in and
Yeah,
build
so
the
if you have
templates out.
HubSpot sales, you can do what you need.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's
and
the level up for like the other integrations is probably what
Right.
he's wanting.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I think you just didn't want to do the work in hindsight, right? I mean, knowing everything I know now, but
Yeah, whatever. We can move on.
yeah. That so I'm like, okay, let's. I made like a template intro low quote, and I'm like, okay, let's make a proper quote, like what you get from Haas or DN when you like say
Yeah.
I want a machine, right?
Perfect.
Building that out as a template and in various configurations. Here's the template for the 500, the UMC 750, without work holding.
That's literally the template you should copy is Haas because your customers are a lot of Haas customers. So
Yeah.
it makes a lot of sense.
I mean, it's everything on the semi-turnkey side, but yeah, for the intro load, it's almost all Haas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just like putting a system in place, and also I guess kind of the last thing I really changed was pay-per-click. I know everyone's been getting pounded with our ads. Are you still getting pounded with our ads? The Instagram ones?
My Instagram use is like near zero.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'll advertise for another software. I don't know if you've come across Opal. I started using that, I don't know, a while ago, but like, so I block Instagram from 4 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Yep.
I can't look at it. It was one of those where it was like, I'd get up in the morning, I'd spend a couple minutes looking at it while I was
And
eating
then-
breakfast, and then it would be like, all right, now I'm behind. I use some of my best bandwidth of the day. And then I'd get home and I'd be like feeding Milo, and I'm like, why am I looking at Instagram? Like,
Uh-huh.
this is the dumbest thing ever. Nope, I've gotta, like, this happened, I don't know, probably when he was like starting to
Hmm.
be a human that would acknowledge that I was there, and I was like, I can't start this as a habit. So yeah, I just started blocking it from those times in my day. And I've actually seen it impact just in general, like other parts where it's like, nah, I don't
Hmm.
look at it at lunch. I don't
Yeah.
do other things, but now I just don't look at it hardly at
Yeah, yeah,
all.
and I did the same thing with TikTok and with Reddit, and I uninstalled them. I didn't look back, and it's just a huge quality of life improvement.
Yeah, so Opal's that app if you want to check
Yeah.
that out. So I did it across just basically all social media or other things that was like, I don't need
Yeah.
to look at these things except for these certain times in my day.
What I've done with Instagram is like I only follow machining content, and like because of that,
Yeah,
it's
those are things I've done too. I agree with that, but it's still an addictive platform.
oh yeah, absolutely. Well, anyway, with pay-per-click, with Meta, the issue has historically, and the advice I've gotten is like you need to cap the frequency, which is the number of times a single user is exposed to a given piece of ad content, and you can't if you have the targeting enabled. So if I'm enabling people who are interested in CNC machines as our targeting, or manufacturing or what have you, which narrows it down to the people I care about, then I can't cap the frequency. So the only way to cap that is by lowering the ad spend. So we took our ad spend down there from $4,000 or $5,000 a month to $1,000 a month. And so, basically $500 a month targeted per piece of ad creative. And the only way we can really scale that is by making more ad creative in a sustainable way.
Okay.
So we did that. We added in Reddit because we can specifically target people who follow certain subreddits.
Reddit's an interesting one that we've been watching too, where the way they change that and how it impacts
Hmm.
SEO too is huge. So I'll be
Yeah.
curious to see how that plays for you.
Oh yeah, you want like a specific like answer, and sometimes you just type in whatever to Google and then Reddit.
And now
As
Reddit's coming up. Yeah.
yeah. No, I'll just type in the word Reddit to like find a straight answer sometimes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't do that, so that's interesting.
And the so Google has not been performing for us, and I think that's a real problem. We know Meta's performing, although it's been hounding people. LinkedIn organically we know performs, but Google right now we're spending the most pay-per-click money on them, and they're doing the worst. So that's something I got to figure out and revamp at some point soon.
Okay.
One thing I did want to ask you, I know I've been rambling on at sales and marketing, but this is like where my head's
I'm
been.
having fun. Yeah.
Um, the so I've been I think almost whining about like, oh, I'm not able to track what people click on what ad creative, and the obvious thing that occurred to me is like, okay, maybe it's hard to get the cookies working without someone who really knows what they're doing, but like I can make like a unique version of each landing page and just like look in the Shopify like what is the traffic going to those pages,
Yeah.
and make a duplicate for each piece of ad creative and put the little do not search thing so Google doesn't re-index every page.
Hmm.
And I'm like, why have I not done this?
Yeah, that works perfect.
Yeah, because I don't believe whatever Google and Facebook and Reddit are telling me about the number of people who clicked on it. But if you have something that you can't navigate to from a web page, and you have a unique page that's not indexed, there's only one way someone could have got there, and that's them clicking on your ad.
Hmm.
So that's definitely something I need to explore.
Perfect.
Have
I
any
don't know.
updates on your pay-per-click?
We're just doing a little bit of LinkedIn, so nothing too crazy. We're going to be running. I know you said too the amount of site visits. We're actually going to be running a promo where I want to start doing more giveaway of automation assessments as well.
Yep.
Because what's interesting is we've seen the more we automate on our sales process, the more we can offload off of me. So we're continuing to push that. The goal is how is as much of Matt's time spent customer facing.
Hmm.
So that's where like the layering in of certain AIs, tools, stuff like that. But I want to do more site visits because I really enjoy them. Like it's interesting you brought this up that this is what you're doing. So we're looking at running some ads that if you're in 100 miles, we're going to start giving some away for people that we think align really well with our business. And then the other one being, what was the? I guess I'm losing train of thought here. Sorry. There was some way that our agency wants to start doing that as well with some cool videos that we're looking at doing. But we'll see where that kind of plays out. But the first one is going to be LinkedIn ad that we're going to start running for 100-mile radius of giving some of these away.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that almost makes me think, like when we were at IMTS, we ran we just pounded with and Meta ads and LinkedIn ads that were within like the smallest radius it would take around the venue.
Hmm.
And we had our booth number in there, and that worked very, very well. But that does make me wonder, like, if we should normally, like, also have maybe some different targeting around California, and specifically because, like, it's much easier to do an intraload install in SoCal. I mean, we do them across the U.S., but the obviously the travel cost is very different between going to Anaheim and going to Illinois, right?
Yeah, it's exactly the case. And then I don't know, I'm really enjoying it more too because I'm getting into a lot of people that are new to automation, really all age groups too. And I've gotten some really cool thank yous from them that like where it was like, I know you're not going to get the budget to do this, even though you're at a large company. If I help educate you, I see how we can do a multi-million-dollar automation project together. And so
Yep.
it's like I gave one guy a lot of time. I spent a lot of calls with him educating it, and I taught him how to lay out machines. And then he came back with like some of the most impressive Excel spreadsheets where like they're having to kit and bag products, and they had thousands of SKUs.
Yep.
And what he had scoped out for a project, I'm like, man, you're just scrapping like a $5 to $10 million project. Like, I'm never going to get the budget for that. I'm like, all right, we're going to find out how you can get the budget here.
Right.
We need to focus on some of the products that there's opportunities for, and you need to sift through all this data. And he did it. And he found
Hmm.
it down to 4 SKUs, 4 bags, and then there was like 6 common parts. There's one, two, three, four, five, six, seven common parts. And by doing that, we can then do 2 NE feeders, 1 Vibe feeder, and then 1 6-axis robot picking off
Hmm.
a pallet. And then we can send that all to a bagger, and we got his
Right.
project down to like 1.3 million.
Yeah.
And but it was like educating him about the different ways you can look at automation and how we can segment it with NE feeders, Vibe feeders, stuff like that.
Hmm.
And he wrote me such a nice thank you that I was like, gosh, this is the reason I love doing what I do because he's so excited to build this machine now
Hmm.
and add
Yep.
value for his company.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm just jazzed about
No, no, no.
it.
Yeah.
It's a
That's
funny, or not funny, but it's just a exciting part of my week.
like from a strategic like point of view, because that's kind of where my head has been lately. It's been like, okay, I'm in company strategy and I'm like tactically in sales. And from a strategic point of view, I've kind of been asking like, okay, what do all these companies know? What does Haas know? What does DN know? What does Shunk know? What does SMW Auto Block and Chick and people in our industry know? Because like a lot of these companies, they sell products at a very similar price point to us. Um, and obviously they're much larger, have been around much longer. And I kind of thought about it, and I'm like, huh, like especially after doing this site visit, and to your credit, you kind of know this already. Um, I think I've been underselling like how similar to you guys I should be on in terms of how I treat sales. Obviously, like the value, like we can start in with a customer for a couple $1,000s, right? Which is something that's obviously different. Um, but I think my mindset needs to shift from, okay, we're going to sell these products and they're going to work well and we'll support them, to, hey, the way we scale is by finding a shop with a ton of machines, delivering one great result, and doing it over and over and over and over, and building that relationship. I
Oh,
think that's the quickest way to scale the business.
partnerships and relationships, they just pay dividends. Like you can, the best way is to just grow together. And then when you have pains, because there's always going to be pains whether you own it. And those have
Yeah.
turned into some of my best relationships where like, you know, you're building custom stuff. You're going to have
Hmm.
people, they're going to make mistakes, crash a machine. You're going to make a mistake on selecting the wrong
Right.
component at some point because you did the math. The tech sheet told you that you could do it, but it just didn't work. And you're going to step in and make it right for them. And then all of a sudden they're going to buy more machines. I'm literally describing a story.
Yeah.
And it's like those are some of the best relationships because you went through something tough together and you both made it right for each other. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what I'm very jazzed because some of these things have been coming into play this year, and
Hmm.
I'm excited
Yeah.
about it. So I
Yeah.
agree with you very much, is what I'm saying, Michael.
Yeah. Well, and I think I've been like at least using, I don't know if excuse is the right word, but the wrong lens to view this through, of like, hey, our products, you know, are $2,000, and even a semi turnkey is 25, and even an intro load's 50. It's not $1 million, right? Like the but I think I've been viewing that wrong in terms of like Shunk and even Kurt and like Jurgens, they'll send a rep there, even if they're selling a $2,000 vice. I mean, Shunk's a $7,000-8,000 vice, but
Yeah.
the and it's like, okay, well, go to the shops that have that are geographically closest to starting point. Obviously, continue to serve all of our customers and ship wherever, but and use that as a jumping off point to create that skill.
Yeah. Let me know if you have questions about that. I'm happy to help because building relationships is really how Develop started 10
Yep.
years ago. I actually shared this on, since we've started doing this podcast, I've been getting invites. I've had 3 invites in the last couple of weeks here for podcast. I shot 2 of them this
Oh
week.
yeah, I've got a bunch too. I've actually
TG
had like 3 or 4 people ask if they can come on the podcast, and I've been like,
I've had a few of those too. I've
yeah.
said no as well. But I did 2 this week. I got the notes here. So I had TJ Pettis. He's doing actually, what's the name of his podcast? Because I want to hit that. It's Engineered Revenue Solutions podcast. It's basically talking about B2B sales. So
Yeah.
he somehow had listened to some of the stuff we've been talking about and found us and just talked about sales pipeline, what it's like, how Develop does it, and he's a wealth of knowledge on sales. I'm actually curious to listen to some more of his podcasts because I think he does an excellent job of being a host. The other one was Jason Weisman, which was Action Coach. I don't know if you ever heard of them. I now need to kind of look into it. Had fun there as well. More or less just he wanted to learn a little bit about Develop. I think some of it's to get me into their sales pipeline for coaching. So we'll
Sure.
see where that one rolls. But either way, had fun doing it. So I'm, like I said, enjoying the podcast stuff.
Yeah. I mean, rather than coaching, I would encourage you, having done both paid coaching and I would definitely encourage you to go for like a business owner group.
Yeah.
And generally,
I don't see me doing that one. There's actually our Wisconsin Manufacturing Commerce just announced that they're going to be doing. Are you familiar with Vistage?
yeah,
They're doing
yeah. So EO is what I'm in, and it's like a Vistage
yeah.
alternative.
They just announced they're going to be doing a Vistage like system, and I got put on that list, or I asked to be put on that list. So when they start launching that, and I see who's going to be in that, I might pay for that. So I agree with you. I've looked at some of these interesting coach ones. I have mixed emotions.
Yeah, I mean, even the business owner groups are all $6,000 to $20,000 a year. But and actual Vistage is on the higher end of that.
Yep.
And they all have some initiation fee, but I mean, especially these like executive coaching things, you can blow huge amounts
Oh
of money.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I don't know, mixed emotions. I've always said I'd rather just pay for it in mistakes because I definitely learned that way.
Yeah, I mean and I've been told things before by mentors, other business owners, XYZ, and a lot of the time you'll just make the mistake anyways, and because you don't really learn until it really materializes in you.
I built a virtual board on ChatGPT. That's also been kind of fun. When I have questions, I kick it over to the virtual board.
Yeah, I've been using ChatGPT a lot. At least compared to where I was. Plot has been awesome. I signed up for like I think it's like 20 hours a month, the basic plan, and I'm like, oh, we're gonna blow it right past that.
Oh
Which is,
yeah,
yeah. And it used to be too, like when I would have a sales call or like someone calls our line and I pick up, just call I can click a little button and it tells them, hey, we're gonna record this, and then it records. But I didn't have that option. And now with a little Plod note, I can just say, hey, do you mind if I record this so I don't miss anything? And then I can just take that transcript, throw it in a ChatGPT, and then the email is written for me, which is awesome.
exactly. Yep.
Yep.
All right. I think that is sales and marketing. This was a week on that. Engineering and R&D. Do we want to roll into that?
There's not much. I mean, we're doing gradual improvements of products, turning them into little improvements here and there, starting to like really nail down engineering drawings. Not much this week.
We
The
ordered sheet metal for our conveyor system that goes on the MRS. That's the extent. We approved the CAD design, and it got
mhm,
released. That's all we did for R&D.
yeah. Speaking of sheet metal, one thing that I've been thinking about is we ordered a ton of Sencut Sen parts like years ago, and they all came back with QC issues, and Sencut Sen kind of like shrugged their shoulders and were like, whatever. The and we then had to we made new versions of the brackets for the Fanuc brother flow link blocks out of much thicker material, thicker than we could bend in house, and they came back beautifully. And now I'm kind of thinking like, we're water jetting and powder coating all this stuff. Like maybe this should just be, let's try Sencut Set again, send again. And it's not even so much a cost thing as like again like getting rid of that mental bandwidth of generate the work order, go here, water jet the thing, powder coat it. Trying to minimize the number of times we're doing that seems
I'm a
attractive right now.
huge fan of sheet metal. The amount of sheet metal components going into develops machines has, I would say, gone up exponentially. Send Cut Send is one of them. FabWorks. We've got Springfield Welding over by us that we use. There's like a handful of them the team
Yep.
uses depending upon their. They all kind of have their sweet spot of what they're best at, and so we typically send it to which one fits their what we need best. But yeah, I agree with you. It's versus machining or other ways of manufacturing. It's huge value versus billet and chunks of chips of
Yeah.
aluminum.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm kind of comparing it to because we have a water jet doing it in house, doing the powder coating in house versus just sending it out. But like I'm looking at velocity a lot, especially now that I've kind of had that shift of like, oh, if I treat us as an engineering firm, why am I making these? Even if it costs twice as much, the cost of a sheet metal part is so low, especially with these new services.
Yeah, I
Like,
think I like that mindset. I also, the way Develop's gone so vertically integrated with certain things, I also see the other side of it. I think the key is to know your lead times on those things, and if you're going to need to
right.
make edits to maintain control of revision speed.
Yeah, well, so like I definitely agree with you in terms of like when we make one of something or we're making an intro load or it's critical that we control the process. Like especially when we're building something that's larger in scale and less standardized, I'm 100% with you. And those things are still going to stay in-house for velocity reasons of it's going to take so long to find a vendor who can do the thing the way you want it. The volume isn't there. But for products, I think I've been historically underestimating. I just haven't searched hard enough for good enough domestic vendors, I think. And it's made me make some insourcing decisions that maybe I wouldn't make now. And with Sencut Send, you can like, what does it take a week?
Oh, yeah,
It's insanely
that's why
fast.
I don't see sheet metal being on our list of bringing in house.
Yep.
Definitely
Yep.
not anytime soon. When we're looking to compress weeks, that's going to be really fun for that type of sourcing schedule because that's like everything on our list, like everything. Like
Yep.
I don't know if we're going to have to be a rail manufacturer too at that point. I don't know. So that'd be crazy.
Yep. I guess we're rolling out pretty soon. The Quick Flip 180 that I've been talking about forever, that's going to actually come out in 2 weeks. We're rolling out a new version of our Roto Grip Flip Grip module that can take either version of the
You need to
vise.
have like
But these are not, they're incremental improvements.
you need to get like Tony Hawk to be like your spokesperson because your products sound like a skateboard trick.
Yeah, there's an interesting story like behind that of there was a much larger company who basically I flew out. They were talking about like, oh, we want to buy some percentage of your business, and the one piece of advice that in conversations that was given to me was you should really use trade names, and that's where everything went from like two-op automation palette to grip flip grip module, and yeah, like they sound silly and stupid, like Gim Gripper as opposed to Spindle Gripper.
Whatever.
But
Remember them then.
oh, man, it's so easy to rank like a stupid word in SEO, and then people start referring to, associating the gimbal name more deeply with grippers and automation and so on.
Yeah, I like it.
But yeah, I'm actually a really big fan of like giving something a silly name, and that's easy to rank for now.
Yeah, I like that idea of silly names. I mean, it's funny. when I worked at Rings, we always had to give the vehicles like some form of name. And if you ever are looking for a good laugh, we named a truck Clem at one point. I don't think I'll repeat what Clem means on a podcast, but um, yeah, I definitely names are. Develop tends to go more towards acronym names, is where
Yeah.
we're at. But yeah,
Well, that's what I've been trying to go away from because we use some acronyms too,
yeah.
but they're hard to rank in terms of SEO because like everybody you'll find 20 different versions of the same acronym.
Yeah,
right?
that's true. I guess that's where like modular robot system, it's the MRS, but it's still the modular robot system is what we rank for.
Yep.
So, okay.
Yep.
I guess on to company-wide updates and improvements. You want to go first?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's a little harder because I've been on the shop floor less. Obviously I've been improving the sales process. I think just generally getting the things off my plate that I'm not good at or don't want to do. I hate the phrase zone of genius, or like, what's your superpower?
I guess I don't know if
And
I've heard of
I
that.
think,
Where's that come from?
well, you're not in enough entrepreneur groups if you never heard of those. Maybe it's an LA thing. There are various books and they'll use some catchphrase. But the general idea is like, you can fight an uphill battle. Like for me, I could go and try to like be really good at managing AR and AP and figure those things out. Or you could just realize, hey, I'm never going to like this, so I'm not going to do it as well. So I'll take that load off of me and do what I'm going to do really well.
Got it. Okay.
And those are just cheesy names for it. But I think I've been more like, I've really been pushing myself to give those things up and put those responsibilities, whether it's doing XYZ for the shop floor or if it's, managing accounts payable or whatever it might be, take those things that I don't like and I am not doing as good of a job as I want and have other people do
Yeah,
it.
the goal is to fire yourself from your own company as many times as possible.
Yep. What about you?
Mine has, for us, the company-wide updates and improvements. It's really, it's working through the CI list that we have the goal of for getting done here before August, and a portion of that is our customer journey. So it started off on like basically looking at it from the machine build side, every touch point that we talk about on, talking with the customer, how that entire journey feels throughout that entire process. So customer SOPs is what that was called. That's a portion of it that started as one statement of work the engineering team took care of, and then it turned into the sales side. So as we talked about at the beginning of the podcast, that's really been the huge focus for me and several team members here over the last week and through the end of July here is every touch point that is with Develop. How do we make that faster, more seamless, and automated? So even once you sign a stage gate approval with Develop, like, all right, I've signed off that I'm happy with the CAD, I'm happy with the factory acceptance testing on your floor and the way it runs. As soon as you sign that, how do you get an automated email? We're calling it our dissatisfaction survey. So like, we don't really care what we're doing well. We want to know what we're not doing well at so we can get better. And so we're sending out a survey that's going to be automated. After that is the goal. And it's just like, tell us what we could have done better to make this stage more enjoyable or easier for you as a customer. Like, if you want to tell us some good stuff, that's great, but we're not going to get better if we don't hear where we're failing you as a company, if you will. Maybe not failing is the right word, but
right. Yeah, I know. But could be better, right?
So
yeah, and every time a customer or anybody gives us a piece of criticism, I try to really take it and like ask, are they right? If it wasn't me there in that video, and one of them, the Tim from Toolpath commented on one of my Instagram posts from the podcast where I was, whining about, oh, I've been hiring overqualified people. And he's like, is there such a thing as overqualified or just the wrong culture or XYZ? And I kind of reflect like, okay, yeah, maybe I think I was just a little bit angry with that particular situation.
Yeah, I remember that.
Trying to take it.
Yeah, I remember that podcast. I was trying my best to figure out a good response because I do agree that like you want people that are somewhat overqualified because that's when I've found like, holy crap, you find great solutions to things.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, like overqualified, like just not invested, right? Like that's the real problem. Like the not invested in the team and the
Oh
mission
yeah,
and the yeah
that's critical. I think that's where some of the call went. If you probably look at some of
yeah
that. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I can take a 30-second clip, and I think I came back to sanity a little bit.
Hey, you
off
can
and
always
on,
delete
but
that post.
it's fine.
All right. Well, I think that's it for 1 through 4. We now got the Matt and Michael weekly challenge. We discussed both those in the podcast here. So, what are we challenging each other for next week? Is kind of the question we have. I think you
Yep.
know yours.
Yeah, I think mine is the same as it was last week, right? Of I need to actually go and put some kind of document or PowerPoint or whatever, like even if it's super small, that just says what we plan to
Yeah, I
do,
think you.
or what I plan to do
Yeah,
strategically.
you reflected on it. I think you now need to start documenting it and figure out a way to list that out and not necessarily just start running on it right away. I think once you have it documented, start asking questions or getting feedback. I'm happy to have an offline call with you on that
Yep.
too, if you want to help you there to get feedback or kick it to ChatGPT. Might be another way.
Yeah, and I got to try to use Claude too. Have you used Claude
I've heard
a
a
lot?
lot of great things. Complete transparency. I've never used Claude. I started with Copilot. I went to ChatGPT, and I was so happy there that I just kind of stopped.
Yeah. What I have heard is that Claude is much better at writing content that doesn't sound AI.
Interesting.
So I definitely need to give it a try.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Let me know.
Yep.
Um,
I have a couple of questions, but I want to go post some more questions and kind of do it in one actual segment because otherwise we get through it in 30
Okay.
seconds. Do we want to just do? Oh wait, what we're challenging? for
yeah,
you?
I don't. What do you think? What stood out to you this week?
The biggest thing that stood out to me is that I guess from my end, like hearing you talk, it really feels like the amount of stuff you're doing in sales has already become unsustainable. And my intuition, hearing everything I've heard, is like, okay, I think you need to start taking steps towards maybe Matt isn't on the front of every site visit. Putting someone in place that maybe is an apps engineer or a salesperson or even someone you trust right now to step into that role, even if it's temporary, to be at least the initial face, and then you come in when there's a problem or when a deal really needs to close.
So I agree with that. Something that I've been toying with because I think everybody probably knows my hesitancy to hire dedicated sales just yet. I take a lot of passion in helping and being the face with our customers. The step that we've been looking at is, like I said, I want to get all these automation layers put in, and our top of funnel automation of filtering the stuff initially to get people to the meetings and emails, because that's a lot of my time.
Right.
A lot of energy goes there, or that just doesn't happen if I run out of time. And then the other side is kind of the back engineering side, me not doing proposals anymore and simply literally talking to Claude and describing is helping me a pile.
Yeah.
The area that I've been looking at is if I revisit now an executive assistant that's very sales heavy or customer satisfaction heavy is what I'm thinking I want to do. And they take the initial call with all sales to vet them out to a point. If like there's any question, like it's a MQL to SQL, they do the initial emails with them and then get them put on my calendar once they've been further vetted. And then
Yeah, I mean, I would almost call that like a customer care coordinator or something. And then oh, by the
Yeah,
way, 15% of your time or 15 hours a week are going to, you helping me with my tasks and my calendar.
yeah, I think that's probably a good way to look at it, because if we look at that entire journey, then they could handle their invoicing with that customer, certain questions with that customer, and just documentation of onboarding them as basically to make that really seamless is kind of the goal.
Right, yeah.
That's where I've been leaning more, because was it December? I was saying we need to hire an executive assistant, and I was like, I'm just going to try some of this AI, and I ended up using AI and solved
Yep.
a large portion. But now we found a different bottleneck, so that's where I've been leaning.
Yeah. Well, I'm seeing that, and at least recently, and I think this is kind of new. Like, it feels like site visits are really the killer of like where your time is going, and I guess my question is like, well, like, yeah, absolutely, you should be doing site visits, but like, is that number one a week or is that three a week? Like, and this might just be from the snapshot I
Yeah.
have of the last month. But should you be doing all of these, or should for maybe the customer where you don't know if they're going to close or not, right? Maybe that site visit is walked by somebody
Yeah,
else.
I should be clear about those site visits. Every single one that I've been doing here is well into the multi-million dollar projects.
Yeah.
I don't know how I could offload that just yet. Like, if they were like MRS or packaging and palletizing
Right.
that were straightforward palletizers, that's where I think I want to get to. But we don't have enough of those coming in. We're getting a lot of these high value add custom machines, and those are the
Right.
those are the ones where I'm going into like we're getting to
Yeah.
close to close on several of these. Has been a lot of my time over the last month here.
So I guess let's say that's bottom of funnel,
Yeah.
right? I guess why don't we have your task be like scope out, a top of funnel narrowing solution or potential
That's
solution
what my SOW.
that will save
That's
you
what my
time.
SOW
Yeah.
task was over the last week. That's what a couple hundred engineering hours is going towards.
I know, but I'm saying like scoping it out could be one, potential solution is to hire, a customer care coordinator who does this task, and this task, right? Like I know the SOW, I feel like that's not top of funnel
Yeah.
enough. And
And
I
I
guess what I'm trying to push you to do is where can we save more of your time to put it somewhere more strategic?
So I'll talk through because I like where you're going with this a lot because this has been something I've been racking around quite a bit. So that's where the focus has been on how do we automate as much of that. Then that's where I started drafting out the current new executive assistant. My challenge is I don't know how much this automation is going to save me and what that's going to look like. My assumption is I'm going to get hit with a lot more marketing / sales qualified leads, and I'm going to have to take a lot of these virtual meetings, and I'd like to figure out a way to automate that more. Maybe not automate, offload that onto that executive assistant, but that might quickly turn into we need an EA, and then we need somebody that they're focusing on initial scoping.
I think you're getting I think the direction you need to go, but you're getting like too into the hypotheticals. Like right now, like let's just shrink it down to even just scoping a step you can take.
That's exactly what I
Right.
do with statement of work. That's literally once that's like that's where I get hypothetical because I don't know how that's
Okay.
going to play out.
Yeah.
And I need to get through these next or to the next trade shows where our next wave of leads is going to come in. So I will know what the impact of that is after MD&M and EATS in October.
Yeah.
And that issue is that's several months away. So I could have a huge pain by the time we get there. I just don't.
Oh, you're coming to MD&M, the one in February in Anaheim?
Minnesota.
Oh, they have the multiple.
We
of the
have the
same
one in
show?
February on our calendar as
gotcha.
well as a potential, depending upon
Yeah.
how that one goes.
Yeah.
There's actually a couple shows we're looking at doing. There's the MD&M in Anaheim. There's the wine show in Sacramento, and then there's the coffee show in San Diego. We're looking at potentially doing those three this coming year.
Yeah, there's lots of packaging
Oh my
shows.
gosh, it's crazy, and we're finding that Develop is good at it, so we're having fun there.
Yeah. I just want like one tangible thing. I know you got to have.
I
something.
know, and that's the. I don't know if sales. I feel like I need to see that execute. I'm also looking at my calendar here. Next week, how could I? It's funny because
Well,
I have
maybe
two
one
site
thing-
visits next week.
What like you've always been on me about like, hey, do a time audit. Maybe like you just do a time audit for next week, or from
That's
now,
actually
like,
that's a
tomorrow.
good call because I haven't done
Yeah.
a time audit in about a quarter. I should do a 15-minute time audit for the next week is what I should do. That's a good call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? We have mine, and I think I'm going to do that anyways. Maybe I'll do the time audit with you. I think I need to do it too.
All right.
So let's just do like what, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That way we have like whole days. And we'll do the time audits, and like we can just compare them on the call and see like that way we can actually see, hey, where is our time going, and what do we need to change?
Yeah, mine, I'm afraid, is going to be meetings. Like that is literally, if I'm not in virtual meetings, I'm in intern.
Well, that's not a bad
Yeah.
thing though. Like more and more of my time has been in
Yeah.
meetings, and that just happens when you're setting. A lot of people like to be, oh, meetings are such a waste of time, blah 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 blah. If you don't have them, like you have no strategy, you have no, like, and the meetings drive sales, meetings drive direction. Like,
Yeah, it's, I mean, I was in a
it-
3 hour
yeah.
meeting earlier today, but that resulted in 200 hours of statement of work that there's no way I could have done that in the next year unless we allocate a couple engineers
Yeah.
to just do it for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. One little personal tidbit, and then we can call it a call it a day on this very long podcast.
I thought we quit the personal tidbits.
Well, oh yeah, okay.
I mean,
well, we
We had a
put that.
tornado go through our neighborhood. I was about my personal tidbit for the
Yeah.
week. It was like less than 1,000 yards from my house and stopped. So my parents live close to us. It went just to the west of us and it stopped in my parents' front yard and just ripped oak trees out of their yard. Like, yeah, like,
Jeez. At least their
their house is
okay. I mean, that's the-
perfectly fine. But yeah, it literally just stopped. There's one giant oak tree that's been there for, I don't know, 100 plus years. It's just ripped right out and
Oh, that sucks.
chucked.
Yeah.
But yeah, didn't hit the house at least. There's my personal tidbits.
Yeah. For me, we went to like the Asian night market and got some like street food. That was cool. Actually, did that 2 weeks in a row. We bought some like bandanas for the
Sounds
dogs.
good.
Thank you so much for listening to Matt and I's conversation this week on the Manufacturing Automation Podcast. If you like the podcast, please share it with a friend or give us a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. We'll be back next week to continue sharing our respective journeys in life, business, and industrial automation. Thanks so much.